So when we look at locational factors, what we're looking at is, yes, okay, I see that factory is there, but why is it there? Okay, or I see that store is there or that restaurant there, but why? Okay, geographers, economists, all the theys that we talk about, okay, they are always looking at why. Why is it there? It's the why of the where. Okay, so the first thing that we look at is situation factors. Now, whenever we talk situation factors, basically what we're talking about is like what's around that area. Okay, so this is like relative location. So it's not exactly the dot on the map. Okay, it's more of like, okay, if I do decide to locate here, what all will I have access to? Okay, kind of like in a circle, right? So if I were to ask you, like, what's the relative location of Wakeland? What could you tell me?
Chick-fil-A.
It's by Chick-fil-A.
Target.
It's by Target. It's by Bahama Bucks, okay? But does that get you exactly to the spot? No, but it gets you close. It gives you an idea, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're looking at situation factors here. Okay, so we look at, one of the things that we look at when we look at, okay, well, what's around? Okay, one of the things you have to consider is what's called proximity to inputs. Okay, that sounds like really super complicated and fancy, all right? But what does proximity mean?
Proximal.
What?
Near.
Closeness. Okay, so this is close to. Okay. And then if you're a factory, like if you're producing something, what are your inputs?
What you say, like your opinion.
Like what do you bring in though? Resources. Okay. So your inputs are like your resources. All right. So now we've turned proximity to inputs into, am I close to my resources? Okay. So that's what you're considering. All right. Now, some businesses, they don't need to be close to their resources, but some do. Okay. So if they do need to be close to their resources, meaning proximity to inputs, it's because they are a bulk reducing industry. Okay. Well, let's break that down. What's bulk?
Big.
The amount.
Amount, yeah, that's kind of close. Weight. Okay, and what's reducing?
Bringing down.
Yeah, okay, so losing. So if you are a weight losing, bulk reducing industry, that means your resource is really heavy, and then after you produce it, it comes out lighter. Okay, so like it goes on a diet during the manufacturing process, basically. Okay, so let's think about how many have ever mailed something before? Like at the post office. Okay, what do they do to your package? They weigh it. Okay, and then that's how they decide how much it's going to cost you to ship it. Okay, so same thing with bulk reducing. You have to get your resource to you. The heavier it is, the more expensive it is. So if it's really heavy, do you want to be close to it?
Yeah.
Why?
So that it's less money.
Yeah, so it's less money. It's cheaper. Okay, so if it's a bulk reducing industry, it is a weight losing industry, meaning they have to be close to their inputs, to their resources. Okay, so these right here that are on here, like copper and steel, those are like the two most common types of bulk reducing. Okay, yes?
Wait, so like when you ship something, is it more like, okay, just say like weighs a lot. Like, is it more expensive to like ship it farther?
Actually, no. Like the farther something is going, the cheaper it is because they'll put it on a slower mode of transportation. We'll get there. Hang on to that thought. Okay. So now, sometimes your company, it doesn't have to be close to the resource. Okay. So it's not proximity to inputs. It's proximity to markets. Okay. So remind me one more time, what is proximity?
Near.
Yeah, close to. And then what's market?
The place where you're gonna sell.
Who do you sell to?
The stores.
The consumers. Are you a market? Yeah, you buy stuff. People love to advertise to you because you buy a lot of things. Okay, so markets are your customers. Okay, so we fancy it up and we call them markets. Okay. All right, so if it's proximity to market, it's kind of opposite of proximity to input. Okay, so where proximity to input was bulk reducing, this is bulk gaining. Okay, so then what does that mean? What is the product doing? It's gaining weight. Yeah, it's getting heavier. Okay, it gobbled up a lot, came out bigger. Okay, all right, so same thing. All right, since it's bulk gaining, they're going to have to be closer to the customer. Otherwise, it's going to cost too much to get the final product to the customer. Okay, and if it costs too much to get the final product to you, what happens to the price you pay?
It goes up.
It goes up. And do you want to do that? No. Okay. So, and businesses know that. Okay. Now, these three are the most common type. The ones that you see right here, they're the most common type of bulk gaining. So, remember the Coca-Cola video we watched?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's like this right here. Okay. And then remember the cars? Okay. The ones in Brazil. Cars. That's cars. Okay. So now let me explain something a little bit about the cars. Okay, we call that JIT production, okay, because it's just in time, all right? So here's what happens, especially with assembly lines. Okay, you have something on an assembly line, what do people do?
They mess up.
They each do one part, okay? So, not mess up. So you take something, you put it on the car keeps going. You take that same thing, you pick it up, you put it on the car keeps going. You keep doing that. But they don't store those products. They don't store those pieces. And the reason they don't store them is because they want the assembly line to be longer so they can do more. Okay, so since they don't store that stuff, they get deliveries. And they get deliveries like every 2 hours of things, okay, that they're constantly working with. And when do they get them? Just in time. That's why they call it just-in-time production. Okay, so nothing creative about that name. So these types of industries, they get deliveries like every 2 hours.
Wait, deliveries for what?
The parts that they need.
Ms. Hernandez, I need to take off my lens. It's really bothering me. So
Okay, go.
I'm
Okay, another thing that has to be close to market, perishable products. What does it mean if it's perishable?
They die. It dies.
Well, not, you don't say
like
die.
salad, like
Like
they're
it goes
raw.
bad. It goes bad. Yeah, it spoils. Okay, so give me some examples.
fish.
Salad.
Well, let's be more, yeah, okay.
Dairy.
No.
Cheese.
That's dairy. Wait, that's diary.
I always get that confused.
What else?
Vegetables and fruits.
Lettuce.
That's a vegetable.
I know. I said lettuce like
What about this?
newspaper.
What?
Because
Yeah. Once you print news, is it old? Yeah, because stuff happens all the time. Okay, so they have to be in the market, close to the market. Now, I know these days we don't use newspapers and magazines as much as we used to, but back in the day, and some people still do, the newspapers had to be close to the market because if it takes too long to get to your people, they're not going to read it. They're not going to want it. It's old news. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. All right, so let's talk about how this stuff gets shipped. Okay, so this is where your question comes in. Okay, so, all right. Now, if you look at this right here, the farther something is transported, the lower the cost per kilometer or per mile. Okay, here's why. So, if I need to ship something, let's say all the way to China, okay? I have a friend in China who needs a delivery, okay? Now, if I ship it by air, what's going to happen to the price of the shipment?
It's going to go up.
Yeah, okay? Because, and here's why, airplanes are expensive to operate. Okay, you got to pay the pilots, okay, those are a special skill. Jet fuel is really expensive. And can you load down an airplane with as much weight as you want? No, why not?
it could like not
Yeah, it
work.
won't fly, okay? So if you want your plane to fly, it has to be minimal, right? Okay, so that's why that's why it gets cheaper. Because if I'm going to China, it's probably just going to get loaded on a boat that's making a trip over there. It's going to be slow, yes, but it's going to be cheap, okay? Because can you load down a boat with as much weight as you want?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, okay? Because you've got these big, huge container ships, they carry tons of weight, like literally tons, okay? So you can load down a boat with way more. The fuel is way cheaper, Okay, it doesn't need as many people to operate. Okay, so everything, the price comes down. All right, but let's say I don't really need to go to China. Let's say I just want to, ship it across the country. Okay, it might go on train then. Okay, train is pretty cheap. It doesn't need to rest. Okay, you can load it down with a fair amount. Okay, so that's still pretty cheap. It's going to take a little longer, all right, but I'm still not going to fly it out to California because that's going to be pricey if I overnight it. Okay, but let's say I need it just to go like to San Antonio. Then what might you put it on?
A plane. A car. A car.
Well, but we don't do truck. Okay.
A truck.
So like the big 18-wheelers? Okay, that's what takes mail from city to city. Okay. So if I just needed to go to that, that's like a one-day thing. That's what we use trucks for. They can carry a lot of weight, not too much, but here's why we only use them for like one-day stuff. Because can they go for forever without rest?
No.
Why not?
Because
someone's driving it. Okay, you don't want your driver to fall asleep.
What about trains?
Okay.
That's the same thing with trains.
It's on a track.
Wait, say that again?
It's different because it's on a track.
So they can sleep?
Yeah.
So you have to operate it like...
I mean, it's not like you're driving it on a track. Yeah.
So the labor limit for a truck driver is like 12 hours, right?
Ish. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's usually 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, but like... Wait, so then how does it